What's going on, everyone? This is Sheena, aka Sheenapreneur, your favorite veteran. Today I want to talk a little bit about some of the veteran programs, veteran business programs that I have participated in that I found whether valuable or maybe not so valuable, or really all the programs that I have participated in to build my business throughout this government contracting journey and business journey. And I want to get into that and share some of my experiences right after the intro. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Here on the Sheenapreneur channel, I share information about government contracting, veteran business content, and other business tips. Okay, so I had been doing multiple businesses for several years. Even before I got into government contracting, I had a massage therapy studio. I used to sell oils. I used to be in so many MLMs, which is network marketing. MLM is multi-level marketing. I had done real estate. I had so many other businesses that I'm not even gonna name. But, so I was no stranger to business, but one thing when I started doing government contracting, I was like, I need to do this right. Because I'm one of those people who likes to jump into something right away without really knowing what I'm doing. Just kind of learning along the way. And I still kind of do that, but as far as me being a veteran and doing government contracting, I was more exposed to some better programs and better things that I could participate in, because with government contracting, you can go from like a baby business to, multi six-figure business very, very easily. So with that, I started my company in 2017. So in that time, I did a video about my friend Stephanie. The one is called How I Got My Best Friend to $1 Million. She still is my best friend to this day. And she introduced me to this organization called IVMF. That's Institute for Veterans and Military Families. And she said, hey, you need to do this program called VWise. In 2019, or really it was, I believe 2018 is when she told me about it. I signed up with IVMF. They have multiple programs. And I'm like, ooh, this will be cool. Let me do VWise. And VWise was the following year in 2019. And so in 2019, it was 2018. And I went to VWise in San Diego, California. Absolutely beautiful. Just being in California was really, really nice. I had already, I'm not sure if I had won my first contract yet. I don't think I had. But regardless, I was building my business. Like I was trying to hire people. And I was, a real business. I really had a name. It was a different name from Foresight. It was the name I had before Foresight. But I was kind of doing real estate a little bit. So I was still trying to figure out who am I and what do I do. And so what I learned in this program, it was more like a conference. So you had a conference with classes, and this one was for all women, all veteran women or veteran spouses. I don't typically like to have, and forgive me, but like women's groups, I really just had participated in some others that just weren't beneficial for me at that time, and maybe just the organization wasn't that good. But this was just absolutely phenomenal, mind-blowing. Some of the relationships that I developed at that time were some that I still have to this day. And it was conferences and classes, and it also taught me how to say what I do. When I talk to some of my students, or I talk to just people throughout, it's really hard for people to say what they do. So for me, when people say, what do you do? Or what's your name and what do you do? My name is Sheena Parker. My company is Foresight Industries, and we provide facility management services to the federal government, local government, and corporate agencies, such as janitorial, painting, roof repair, floor repair, pressure washing, and litter pickup. Stuff like that. People are like, oh. So it kind of taught me that repetitive type of cadence where I'm able to say who I am and what I do without saying 50,000 things, and you're not really able to explain what you do, because you got, it's like an elevator pitch. You got 1 minute. And there's different levels of elevator pitches, but this one really taught me like how to say what I needed to say quickly, essentially. And so VWise, absolutely phenomenal. 2 to 3 day program. You actually have to do some coursework before you go to the conference. So you got some homework you got to do for maybe a month or two. And then you go to the, you got people in your class essentially. And then you get to meet them at the conference. So it's like really, really fulfilling. And they do headshots there. We went to activities in the evening. Like we were turning up in the evening, like going to parties. So funny. So I really enjoyed that. And that was kind of like my intro to some of the things that IVMF had. Then I went to EBV, which is Entrepreneurship Boot Camp for Veterans. Mind blowing. So this particular one, depending on where you are in the country, will determine which school you go to. So EBV is attached to different college universities, and they have like a branch within that college that focuses specifically on veteran entrepreneurs, and you go through this boot camp of, I believe back then it was like 9 days, but now I think it's like 7 days. And I went to Texas A&M. Since I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, I had the choice of going to somewhere in Florida or Texas, and I had, been to Florida so many times, not necessarily to college, but I had been to Florida and not really a lot in Texas, so I wanted to do Texas A&M. Shout out to Texas A&M. It's like the best college ever. I was trying to convince my kids to go there, my daughter to go there, but she wanted to go to HBCU, so that was what it was. But Texas A&M, absolutely phenomenal experience. And what I ended up doing, like with that, you do have some coursework as well. I went in 2019, July of 2019. So baby, it was hot. It was hot. And I was still working full time. So I took off of work to go there for a week and a half. When they say it's a boot camp, baby, it was a boot camp, because we literally had breakfast, because they put you in a hotel and they bus you to class, essentially class all day for those days, including the weekend. So, they are very, very strictly organized. I'm talking like very direct and deliberate with everything they do. They feed you to death. I will say that. I never eaten so much. They said you're either going to lose 10 pounds or gain 10 pounds. I definitely was on the gaining side, because they feed you breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but in between they have sponsors who give you snacks and all kind of sweets and goodies and all that kind of stuff. And you have a hotel room to yourself, so you're just like snacking if you have time to snack, because they take you through the boot camp where you have breakfast and class starts at 7:30. Well, I think they bus us at 7:30. Class starts at 8 or something like that. So you go to the Texas A&M campus and you're in class all day, like literally from 8 o'clock until like 8 p.m., 8 p.m. And then they have like activities in the evening for you. So you might have a single one-on-one mentorship thing where someone in your industry talks to you from 8 to 9. And then from 9 to 10, you have to do like some kind of writing where you're going to tell what your goals are for the next 5 years for your business. So that pretty much goes on. You do a lot of skill building. They have a lot of presenters. Most of the presenters are veterans, which I can appreciate as a veteran. I know that's not always going to be the case, but I appreciate when someone is a veteran business owner, because they know the struggle. They know what you've been through, and they're actually a business owner. Because what I don't like is when people come to teach about something that they've never actually done. So it's really like, it's awesome. Like the COO of Neighborly, which if anyone doesn't know what Neighborly is a franchising company that owns Molly Maids, Roto-Rooter, what they call Rooter now, and the Glass Doctor, and all these different companies in this one conglomerate called Neighborly. The COO, she used to be in the Marines, I believe. Also, the Profit First banker, he also came to talk to us. He's a veteran as well. I believe he was Army Corps, and he talks about Profit First and how you're supposed to structure your business profits and, organize your bank account and stuff. He's actually a banker, phenomenal guy, one of my faves, and some others that were really super helpful in each of those, teaching everything, like the molecular level. Sometimes you go to classes and they're like, oh yeah, all you got to do is set up your QuickBooks, or all you have to do is get an accountant. But they're like, no, HR, you need to make sure that you don't get sued for discrimination if somebody is being hired for a typing class and they have no hands. Like literally, they're getting down to that molecular level. That's the things that we have missing as a gap, and we, that's what keeps us from moving forward in our business. So it was really, really good. Very long days. But at the end, you have to do a full presentation on your goals, your business, current business, and your goals in front of an audience. And so that was nerve-wracking. But if you're okay with public speaking, then it's no thing. And then you're building these friendships for life. So I really, really enjoyed that. That was one of my favorite ones. So the next one I went to in 2019, I did a lot of stuff in 2019, and that's just, I'm talking about the programs, but also I did a few like conferences that were supply diversity. I'll get into that maybe in another video. But I did VIP, which is called Veterans Institute for Procurement, and that is in Potomac, Maryland, and it's for veterans. It's like a boot camp, kind of similar to the EBV that I talked about, and they teach you all about government contracting. Like, that's the main thing. And they have VIP Start, VIP Grow, VIP International, VIP Advanced, and I think they have VIP Aerospace. And so I did VIP Start, even though at that point I was performing contracts in 2019, but I wasn't performing federal contracts. So I thought VIP Start was going to be like, for beginners or something like that. And a little bit of it was, but a lot of it wasn't. There were people in there that said that they wouldn't even do a contract if it was less than $1 million. And I'm like, oh, I'm definitely in the right room, because this is incredible. And some of the people that were in my class, I believe they might do 2 or 3 now. I think at that point they were only doing 1 class per year, but there's some of these people are friends for life. Like, I've had friendships with them since then, or at least friends with them for after the class. And I've seen some of those people go on to do great things, and they've been excelling ever since. One of the things that stood out when there was a presenter that presented to us that year, he said, I was literally in your seat only a couple of years ago, and now my company makes 8 figures. And I'm like, oh, like, this can really happen. Like, I really didn't think that it could happen, and it can. And as long as you're following the path, as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do and not making excuses. That's one of the main things I find in this whole journey of government contracting, especially in business, is not making excuses. Things happen, life happens, and that's going to be that. But the excuses, that's not going to work. It's never going to work, especially if you're trying to go into contracting, because you're going to be held accountable based on the things that you say you're going to do and the things that are in writing. So anyway, moving forward with VIP, that was about 2 to 3 days. They also feed you to death. Oh, by the way, all this stuff is free. Now, with VIP, Veterans Institute for Procurement, that was in Potomac, Maryland, that was 2 to 3 days. That one, I think you had to put a card on file, and you have to actually get yourself to the location. Most of the programs I'm talking about are free. And if there's not free, then it's like a couple of $100s, which is not small change, but for what you're getting, it's definitely worth it. So VIP, I believe you have to put a card on file, and that's just so people don't not show up, because there's a lot of people that are on the waiting list and they don't want you to, not show up, and you've potentially held somebody else from getting the information when they only do 1 to 2 cohorts per year. So with that boot camp, it was phenomenal. Again, very long days, from like 7 until 8 or 9 on a couple of I want to say it was 4 days when I went, but I believe it's only 3 days now. And all the while, a lot of these people are still running their business. So it was intense. It was very intense. A lot of speakers. And then, but one of the unique things about them is I actually received a congressional recognition. I thought this was so incredible. A special recognition when I went to VIP Grow. Not everyone got one, but I got one. And they give you, like, they tell you to contact them because they have a lot of connections with, politics, in the political realm. And I'm not an expert on how that exactly works, because a lot of people that have had success in the political realm with VIP actually live in the Potomac area. But to have that connection is what it's all about, and just make sure that you utilize that connection. So next program that I went to, I'm going to say Veterans Edge, even though Veterans Edge I went to that in 2018 and 2019. I went there every year that they had it, which was essentially every year, I think. Yeah. So Veterans Edge is more like a straight conference, but it's a conference that has classes. So if you were in VIP, if you were in VYs, if you were in EBV, you probably would see those people at Veterans Edge. That's why I like Veterans Edge so much, because it literally is like the group of all veteran business owners in one place, and we just have a great time every time. It's in Texas, and I've been going every year. We even were lucky enough to go right before COVID. We went March 3rd through March 8th, so we literally slid in right when it was happening. There were some people who had their flights canceled that couldn't come to speak, but it still was a phenomenal event. And I've made a point to go every single year, just because getting to see those same people and just learning the latest and greatest. When people ask me why do I go to these programs, it's really for me to learn more about what's going on in my industry, what's going on in anyone else's industry. You may not know, like if you're just staying to yourself and not learning about what is happening in the world. Like I don't watch the news, and I do a bad job of keeping up with what's going on in the world. And so sometimes going to those conferences really helps me, figure out, okay, how can I progress my business forward as a big business and not just like a side hustle. So boom, Veterans Edge. The next one I went to is not specifically related to veterans, but it's called Goldman Sachs, 10,000 small businesses, and absolutely it's probably the most powerful program that I participated in. Goldman Sachs really did a great job teaching you, one, to not make excuses, two, to make time, because I think you had to be in business for a certain amount of time. You had to have a certain amount of revenue. I want to say it was like $75,000 at least annual, and you had to do about 20 hours per week. And so it taught you that you can make time as long as a lot of people don't know how to delegate. So it was teaching people how to delegate in their company. And some of these people, they've been in business for 20 years, and they still wanted to participate in Goldman Sachs because they wanted to learn how to not work in the business and just work on the business. And so, it was really teaching you how to be a big business, and really teaching you to, what's your plan? Like, what's your exit plan? What's your thought process on how your business is supposed to go? How is it supposed to end? What's the ending look like? And I'm like, oh my God, I never thought about what the end looks like, because I'm just still trying to figure out this beginning part. So Goldman Sachs was by far one of the best programs I've ever participated in. They also do, conferences every other year. And because I graduated in 2021, so they couldn't do in person the year before. It was like all virtual. I was in a virtual cohort anyway. They have Goldman Sachs programs where it's in person like one day a week or something like that. But the 100% virtual program that I participated in, they had a meetup at the end of the program. And then also they have not annual, but every other year conferences where everyone who's been a part of Goldman Sachs meets up. And that was mind-blowing as well. Like a very, very great opportunity to be a part of. So I love Goldman Sachs. It taught me, how to do my exit plan. It taught me my growth plan, really taking a hard look at the numbers. Who's your next person you're going to hire? Like so many things that I took out of that program. Not specifically for veterans, but still a phenomenal program. I absolutely loved it. I would recommend it to anyone. It's intense, but I would absolutely recommend it to anyone. So the next program I participated in was the SBA Thrive program. And so I'm going to show my little trophy from Thrive. It used to be called Emerging Leaders, and it's through the SBA. And that's my certificate down here too. They gave us a little certificate. So I participated in that. It was similar to Goldman Sachs. One thing I did like about it is that it was local. It was here in Atlanta. They had the SBA Thrive program, I think, in almost every major city, or at least every state. So you meet once a month, twice a month, and then you had like work that you had to complete. Same thing, with Goldman Sachs, they didn't have a lot of work that you had to complete on your own, but they had work you had to do while you were on the call, basically. You had small groups. This one was like, we didn't necessarily do small groups in our cohort in Atlanta. I think we were supposed to, but we started losing people, so we ended up not with small groups. We just had one large group where we did everything together. I really liked it, and I've been wanting to be a part of it. You had to have a minimum, I believe, of I think the revenue had to be $250,000 or $100,000, something like that. Which of course, so it's not for a startup, but even if you were a startup, it would have been too much work for you to do. So you hadn't gone through some of these things yet, usually as a startup. So I really enjoyed it. The camaraderie. I actually got one of my most lucrative contracts going through that program with someone who was in my class. So, I really, really would recommend that to anyone, the SBA Thrive Emerging Leaders Program. It really taught me how to use my local resources. So I like the fact, Goldman Sachs wasn't really local, and there weren't that many people in Atlanta. But with the Thrive program, that's the SBA right here in my backyard. So I'm like, hey, I've been working with you guys for 6 months. What's up? And most of these programs that are virtual mostly are 6 months. Like the EBV was 9 days. The VIP was 3 days. VWise is like 3 days, but like these other programs, Goldman Sachs and Emerging Leaders, are like 6-month time periods. So very good. A lot of the stuff I had already done, but that's, I probably should have, if I could do it all over again, I probably would have did this course first and then Goldman Sachs after, but it just didn't roll out that way. So definitely highly recommend the SBA Thrive program. There were a couple of veterans in there, so that, that helps. Even the SBA leader of the program was a veteran, so that was cool. So I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed that one. It just didn't have the same je ne sais quoi as Goldman Sachs, but highly recommend. So my most recent program that I participated in, also not related to veterans, but there were some veterans there, so that made it, very awesome to be around my brothers and sisters in arms. But the Morehouse Innovative Entrepreneurship Cohort, it was also local, so I really appreciated that. I appreciated that, it's a HBCU, of course, Morehouse University, and it was for Black people. I mean, I wouldn't even say minority, it was for Black people. So I appreciated that because it was something that you don't really see a lot of programs specifically for that, where we can build together. And some of these people were at $50 million mark, well into the 8 and 9 figures. And it was just incredible to see the types of businesses that they built that you've never heard of. Even though they're doing great things, you just never heard of their company, and they're able to show the receipts of the stuff that they've been doing. And some of them have like nonprofits within their for-profit and just really figure this thing out. So just being in the room of being a part of this group, also virtual, and also it was 4 months, it wasn't 6 months. Very, very spectacular program. And it was based on corporate contracting. That was one thing. It was based on getting contracts with the airport and all the sub companies that do work with the airport already, working with them. So in the city of Atlanta. So that was super awesome that they had already kind of built that up. And the program is relatively new, so they're really wanting to, fine tune some of the things that maybe was rough around the edges, but overall still really, really close to some of the people that were in this cohort. I just graduated June. And I actually have a certificate from that too, so I'm gonna show that. So I actually have to get another shelf because I feel bad I don't have this one hanging up, because it's really, really important to me. But this is a certificate that I got from Morehouse Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center. So it was the cohort, and yeah, so we graduated in June, my bad. But yeah, this is the one that the Morehouse one gave. And I'm very proud of all the programs I participated in, because they're a lot of work and you have to do a lot of dedication. And there's a lot of dedication from those who are facilitating the programs as well. So, those who facilitate the programs are gems. They're usually doing this on a volunteer basis. So, shouts out to them. But there's another one. So I also participated within the Veterans Edge. There was also one that was called the Accelerator Challenge, and that was through Larry Broughton. You had to be selected. I think there was only 12 people selected, so that was right in the midst of 2020 as well. So we got super lucky, and it was a 1-day full boot camp where you go through problems that you're having with your business, and it was just so interesting because people were making a lot of money, and it was just interesting how the perspective was. Like, there was a young lady in there that was doing trucking, and at that time I think I might have only made like $100,000, maybe $150,000, something like that, and she was making $750,000, and I just thought that was like buku money, which it is buku money, but she was like not happy. And I'm like, how the heck do you get to a point where you have $750,000 in income, but you're stressed? Of course, I get it now, but she, it just kind of opened my eyes to people who were at a larger scale than I was, and that were having the same issues, the same problems. But the boot camp itself was about sharing, everyone to give you feedback as to how, you're able to work through a problem. And so through that particular boot camp, then I was introduced to another person who's in facility management, who I introduced to my best friend Stephanie, and that's how they ended up doing contracts. So it was just a beautiful thing overall that, just so happened to work out, and I just am so grateful for it. And then we got a little bit of change. Like those who were qualified got a little bit of change at the end. So that was just so fantastic and surprising and overwhelming and just awesome. So yeah, I wanted to share some of the veteran and non-veteran programs that I participated in. And people, like I had 2 more offers for programs right after I finished this last one in June. I was like, gotta take a break. The CEO Circle, I did an interview with them, so we'll see if I'm gonna be accepted. I'll find out in September, but I didn't want to do that, but it starts in December, and I just heard such great things about it, so I don't know if I'm crossing my fingers or not, but I'm grateful for any opportunity where I'm able to meet people who are doing, more than what I'm doing, and I can learn from and, build better, more meaningful relationships moving forward forever. So I think that's it. I don't think I left anything out right now, but I encourage everyone to participate in programs that are going to make you and your business better. You can't just learn everything on your own. If you don't want to hire a mentor, I just gave you a whole bunch of free programs that you can participate in and you'll be dedicated to. And this will also give you like a little gauge to see if you're able to do this or not in your new business startup journey. So that's all I have. And if you guys want to share any programs that I mentioned that you also participated in, let me know how your experience was. I would love to hear, because I'm in my own little world. Like, it was all wonderful, and then your experience may not have been the same. So I would love for you to share about any of those programs: SBA Thrive program, Goldman Sachs, Veterans Edge, VWise, EBV, VIP, Morehouse Innovation, Entrepreneurship Cohort, the Accelerator Challenge. Just let me know. So let me know what your experiences were if you participated in any of those. Again, join the GovCon Moneymakers Circle community and share your experience there as well. So until next time, it's your favorite veteran.